So officially, welcome everybody. I'm Miss Erin. I work at the Cedar Rapids Museum of Art. And if you've been with us before, you know that. But hopefully you've also visited the Cedar Rapids Museum of Art recently. If you have not, right now we have a whole lot of stuff on display. We always have Grant Wood and Marvin Cohn and Maurizio Lazansky, and there are regulars. And we always have our ancient Rome exhibition on display. But this spring is all about portraits. So we have photography portraits by a former Cedar Rapids guy. His name was Carl Van Vecton. And if you live in Cedar Rapids, you might be familiar with the name Van Vecton because they were kind of well-to-do back in the day. His mom is the reason that the Cedar Rapids Public Library exists. She was the one who kind of made that all happen, Ada Van Vecton. Well, Carl was a photographer and he was kind of important during the Harlem Renaissance era. So he had taken photos of a boatload of his friends and acquaintances who all happened to be kind of important artists themselves. So we have pictures of them all over the first floor of the Museum of Art. They're really cool. The other exhibition we have up this spring is also artwork made by a Cedar Rapids native. She is Kathy Schumacher, and she actually works out of the Cherry Building. So if you ever have a chance to go by there, it's practically across the street from the Nubo City Market. And she makes the most incredible portrait paintings. The exhibition that we have up right now of her work is all women who were important in getting the vote. They call it suffrage. But getting the right to vote for women of color. So this is a long time ago. Most of these ladies are not with us anymore, but she painted portraits of all of these important women that most of us don't know, but we should because they're amazing. So come by and check out those two exhibitions in particular. They'll be leaving us in May, so come by soon before they're gone. But today's artist for Doodlebugs is not a Cedar Rapids guy. He was a guy who lived in France a long time ago. His name is, get ready for this, it's French. You ready? Try saying this name with me. His first name is Pierre. His middle name is Auguste. Can you say it? Auguste. It's kind of the French word version of saying August. So Pierre Auguste. His last name is tricky because it's full of R's, and the French say R's differently than we do. So get ready for this. Can you try to say his last name with me? Renoir.
Renoir.
Yes. Renoir. If you say your R's like we do, it sounds more like Renoir. That's a little easier for us to say, isn't it? Well, I have a story about Mr. Renoir, but I'm going to make it sound a little bit more American so that I can say it a little more easily. This book is called Brush with Greatness. Get it? Because paintbrushes. He was a painter. Renoir by Amy Jane Leavitt. So this story is kind of a chapter book. It's not very long. It's not like a real big chapter book, but that's why on the first page you see chapter 1. But it has all these awesome reproductions of Renoir's paintings in it. So I'm going to read our story, and I'm going to tilt my camera a little bit so that you can actually see the book too. Madame Renoir. Now, in French, Madame means Mrs. So this is basically just saying Mrs. Renoir. That's me holding the dog, Madame Renoir pointed to the lady in the painting. Do you see a lady holding a dog? There's a lot going on in this painting. This one is called Luncheon of the Boating Party. That was when I first met my husband. He included many of his friends in this painting. The painting was very big. It stretched nearly 6 feet wide. Imagine how big that is. And 4 feet tall. I wasn't quite 4 feet tall yet, so the painting was taller than me. I'm only 5'2", so it's only just a little shorter than me. By the way, see, that's a big painting. And by the way, the I that's speaking in this book is a young boy. Well, actually, we don't know how old he is, but we know that he's a young boy or young man. My neighbor, the great artist Renoir, painted it many years before I was born. It was definitely one of my favorites. I enjoyed looking at it every time I went to the Renoir home. I always saw new things in it, just like that day. I hadn't known that Madame Renoir was in the painting. Is Monsieur Renoir in his studio? Monsieur is Mr. I asked after studying the painting with her for a few minutes. Yes, Leo, she replied. He's waiting for you. This is another one of Renoir's portrait paintings of Mrs. Renoir when she was younger. I love all of the detail in this painting. And by the way, we're going to talk about it in a second, but this style of painting is called Impressionism because they're not really trying to paint it exactly how it looks in real life. It's not going to look like a photo. It just gives you the impression or the idea of what we're looking at. Chapter 2, Mixing Paints. I walked down the hallway toward Renoir's studio. As I entered the room, I saw the great artist sitting in front of one of his latest paintings. I had never seen him out of his wheelchair. He could walk a little, but it was very hard for him. He said he wanted to save his energy for painting. That is a self-portrait of him when he was younger. Look at his face. Isn't that cool? Do you see how the skin color they used in this painting isn't all the same color? It's lots and lots of different colors. Do you see that? I love that. That's one of the things that Impressionists did really well. They used lots of colors to blend together. Here's a portrait of him when he was much older. He's changed quite a lot since then. Leo, you're here, he said excitedly. The paints are on the table. Will you mix them for me and bring me my brush? Of course, monsieur, I said as I hurried over to the table. I found his palette just where I left it the day before. I put dabs of green, yellow, and blue on the wooden board. I placed the palette and brush on the small table next to Renoir. Then I picked up some long strips of rags. We're not using rags today. We are using tape, but for the same purpose. I held Renoir's crippled hand and placed the brush in his fist, kind of like this. I gently wrapped the strips around his hand. Again and again I wrapped. Finally, the brush was held in place. Arthritis is a terrible disease, Leo, Renoir said, but I'm determined to keep painting no matter what. Thank you for helping me by mixing my paints and tying the brush to my hand. This was one of the things I liked most about my neighbor. He never quit, no matter how hard things got. I wanted to be just like that too. And again, look how many colors he used to paint his face, not to mention everything else. And I like how you can tell from his eyes, he looks like he'd be kind of fun, doesn't he? Chapter 3, Studying the Masters. As Renoir painted in his studio, I walked the halls of his house. I liked looking at the paintings on the walls. As I gazed at each one, I imagined I was painting them myself. I looked at the bright colors of the skiff. Sunlight sparkled on the lake. The paint colors made it look that way, not real sunlight. There were many different shades of blue in the water. There were also strokes of white, pink, red, and yellow. The orange boat seemed to melt into the blue lake. Do you see how it looks like it's melting into the blue? That reflection of the boat in the water does kind of make it look like that. But like he said, look how many colors are just in the water alone. And I love how he did the reflection in the water. I think that's super cool. Monsieur Renoir learned to paint by studying other paintings, Madame Renoir said as she came down the hallway. He spent hours and hours at the Louvre. That's an art museum in Paris. He would look at the paintings there, then he would try to paint his own to look like them. That's kind of what we do too, isn't it? You heard right. My husband did not come from a rich family. Oh, I skipped a part. Sorry.
Inspiration?
Inspiration, that's right.
Okay.
Did he begin by painting on glass? I heard someone say that, I said. You heard right. My husband did not come from a rich family. When he was 13, he went to work. Ooh, that's very young to go to work. Imagine trying to get a job when you're 13 years old. He was the apprentice to a porcelain painter. He painted pictures on things like dishes and fans. But my husband wanted to do more with his life. He wanted to be a serious artist. That's when he started going to the Louvre to study. He also took some paint classes where he met Monsieur Monet. Do you remember meeting him when he visited? I sure do, I replied. After all, who wouldn't remember meeting Monsieur Monet? He was a famous artist just like Renoir. How lucky I am. I'm so young, but I've already met two of France's best artists. And then there's this one titled Young Girls at the Piano. In particular, I love how he did their hair. It looks so shiny. And if you've ever seen a painting by Monet called Water Lilies, you probably have seen it before. Maybe you didn't know what it was called, but yeah, Monet is a really famous guy too. Chapter 4, Painting a Painter. At lunchtime, Renoir took a break from painting. I untied the brush from his hand and wheeled him into the garden. I set a tray of croissants, cheese, and grapes on the table. Madame Renoir joined us. As we ate, Monsieur Renoir talked about the old days. I loved living in Paris. It was the perfect place for a young artist. I spent days painting along the Seine, that's the river. That is where Monet and I came up with our style of painting. And here's one of them. This one's titled The Pont Neuf, which is one of the places that they probably visited when they were painting things. And there's a lot going on in this painting. Yes, Milena, you have your hand up.
And that lunch, I think that sounds kind of good.
Oh, doesn't it? I love croissants. And who doesn't love cheese and grapes? Yes, please. Critics called it Impressionism. I told you about that word. Other painters joined us. Paul Cézanne was one of them. So was Edgar Degas. We were all such good friends back then. We even put together a show of our paintings. That's when people really started noticing us. And this painting is called Ball at the Moulin de Galette, which means the cake mill, I guess. I'm guessing it's a place where they have lots of cakes, but it also looks like they have music and dancing. Look at how much is going on in here. There's so much I can't hardly even tell. It's a good thing these paintings are big so we can see all the details close up if we go to see them. I remember Monet when he showed me the painting you did of him, I said to Monsieur Renoir. I did several. of Monet. Renoir said, I think he showed you the one of him painting in his garden. I liked the idea of painting a painter as he painted. Renoir laughed. Madame Renoir and I joined him. That was a clever idea. So this is the one they're talking about, and it's full of flowers. Monet was kind of famous for his flowers, but do you see him right there at his easel outside painting what his garden looked like? And that's his house in the background. I think that's really cool. Have you ever painted a picture of somebody else who's painting a picture? That could be kind of fun. Chapter 5, Home Sweet Home. The sun was beginning to set. Madame Renoir walked into the studio. Daylight is fading, my dear, she said to her husband. You do not want to tire yourself by working too long. Perhaps it's time to call it a day. Monsieur Renoir agreed. He asked me to remove the brush from his hand. I carefully unwrapped it and placed it on the table. I set the palette next to it. Tomorrow, I would come back just like I did every day. I would mix the paints, I would tie on the brush, and Renoir would continue to paint on his canvas. And this one is titled Children on the Seashore in Guernsey. And I love the background of this. Look at how he used so many colors for just the water again. And there's the children. I'm guessing that's a beach, or maybe it's grassy. It's hard to tell. So pretty. He was almost finished with his current painting. I stood next to him and looked at the painting and the easel. That's your house, I said with excitement. You're absolutely right, Renoir replied. I'll call this one The Farm at Les Galette Cagna. It's my home sweet home. And this is the painting they're talking about. So there's the house surrounded by trees and grass. So much color. I love it. So Pierre-Auguste Renoir painted hundreds of paintings in his lifetime. Many of them were painted with a hand crippled from arthritis. We'll talk about that in a second. Renoir lived until he was 78 years old. A few months before he died, his friends took him to the Louvre again. They wheeled him through the halls and helped him see his favorite paintings. That was the last time he would return to his favorite museum. But these are the kinds of things that he was painting. I love the look on her face. She looks so happy. And she's holding her fan back here behind that gentleman's head. And remember, from the early part of our story, when Pierre-Auguste Renoir started out, he started out painting things like fans. So I thought that was cool to include that in the painting. And this one, they're so dressed up and fancy. She even has flowers in her hair. I just love that. And then if you ever have a chance to look at this book yourself, there's a whole lot more information in the back of the book that tells you all about the words they used in the book if you haven't heard them before, and gives you the names of the paintings and where they are now. But for today, we're going to try our hands at painting like Renoir did. Later in his life, like the book said, he had arthritis, especially in his hands. Arthritis is something where it makes your joints really painful. So, you know, the joints in your fingers, your knuckles, they would all be really, really sore. Sometimes they would swell up really badly, so you couldn't even move your hands. So I have some pictures to show you of what he looked like. I'm going to share my screen so you can see. Okay. This is Mr. Renoir later in his life, and I love that we can still see him smiling. He even has the smile in his eyes, even if you couldn't see his mouth, because you really can't with his beard. But let's see. Let's take a look at. I'm going to move this out of the way. There we go. This one shows him with his hand tied. Because his hands were so sore and so swollen, he could hardly hold on to his paintbrush. So that's why he had his apprentice tie the brush to his hand. So even if he couldn't hold on to the brush himself, he could still kind of keep the brush in his hand so he could paint. That's what we're going to do today. Only instead of using rags, we're going to use tape. And this is him sitting in a chair. And even looking at how he's sitting in his chair, doesn't he look like he's kind of uncomfortable? I think you can see he's probably in pain. And look at his poor hands. Don't they look like they hurt? But he wanted to keep painting so badly that he tied those brushes to his hands. So that's what we're going to do today. So the easiest way to do this is to take a piece of your tape, if you have it. I'm going to show you because I'm by myself right now, I don't have anybody to tape my hand for me. So I'm going to tape my not dominant hand. I'm a righty normally, but I'm going to be using my left hand to paint today, you guys. So don't laugh at me because it's going to be kind of silly. But I like to tape my thumb down to my hand. So I start maybe here-ish, and I'm just going to wrap it around so that it goes all the way around my hand. Not too tight. It doesn't have to be tight. But then I'm going to take my brush. My brush has a pencil on one end and the brush on the other because it came from the museum. It comes from our gift shop. So I'm going to kind of poke my brush up into my hand once it's taped together. There we go. So needless to say, our paintings today gonna look kind of weird because none of us have ever done this before, right? It's a lot harder to hold your brush like this. I put mine so it's down like this, but I noticed some of you have yours like this. Oh. So then you have to hold your hand upside down. Either way will work. You can even try it both ways if you want and see which one works better for you. If you get frustrated while you're painting and you don't want the tape on there anymore, you can take it off. It's fine. I just wanted you to be able to try this for today because I think it's kind of fun. So I'm going to pour out my paint. If you guys have paint with you, go ahead and get started. I'm putting my paint on a styrofoam paper plate. I don't know why we call it paper because it's not, it's styrofoam, but whatever. You know what I mean. Da, da, da. Lots of paint. You know, you could probably use watercolor paint too if you have that. That would look very cool too. Now, I know in the write-up for today's class, it said that we were going to paint a portrait. That's because we have lots of portraits at the museum on display right now, like I was talking about earlier. But if you don't want to paint a portrait, you don't have to.
What's a portrait mean? A picture.
Oh, we didn't talk about that. What is a portrait? Does anybody know? Melena, what's a portrait?
A picture of someone.
Yeah, it can be just their face. It can be their face down to maybe their shoulders. Sometimes it's their whole body from head to toe. It's hard to say. Anything with a person in it, as long as it still has their face, would technically be a portrait. Also, if you've been to look at the Museum of Art lately, in our ancient Roman exhibition, we have a portrait of animals too. We have a portrait of a lion. It's kind of like from his head only. Okay, are we ready? Here we go. I think I'm going to try to mix together something that looks a little bit like a skin color. And I'm doing this with my left hand, and it's going to look weird. Whoop. That's a lot more blue than I needed for that. I'm going to make a giant mess. It's a good thing that when he was doing this, that Renoir was painting an impressionistic style so that it didn't have to look perfect, because there's no way I can figure out how to paint like this and make it look realistic. It would not look perfect at all. Maybe with a lot more practice it would, but oof, I can't imagine.
You're gonna make a forest.
I'm trying. I don't really like using this special stuff.
It's hard, isn't it? It's really
hurts my
hard.
hand.
You know
This
what?
is my skin color.
I just took mine off of my hand so that I could use my right hand, because like I said, I'm a righty and it's really hard even just to mix the colors together with my left hand. I can't imagine how tough that was. That's probably why he had his apprentice help mix the colors for him. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. Okay.
You're right. It is hard to use your left hand.
It's so hard. I don't recommend it if you're not a lefty. Let's see. My other favorite thing is you get to decide when you very first start if you want your picture to go this way or this way. Is yours going to be long and wide or tall and skinny? You get to pick. I think I'm going to do tall and skinny today. I have to move my camera out of the way.
I want to do mine long and wide.
Portraits are generally done more the long and wide way if it's just one. If you have lots of people, then it's easier to do the wide way, but tall and skinny is usually good for just one person.
What do you need, Melanie?
What can I do, Mommy?
Wait.
You couldn't mix the colors together.
You can.
I just wanted to jump on real quick and say that Ben's paint water is the prettiest color.
Oh, it totally is. Here, you guys, if you can't see it, let me show you. Da, 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 da.
Yay!
Look at that. Very pretty lavender.
Yeah.
It decided to.
Oh, it's changing. Do you see it?
Yeah.
I love paint water. It always turns out so interesting watching it change as you paint. Now, let's see here. I'm going to go back to me for a second.
I'm giving you more paint.
Okay, so I wanted to show you a couple of quick tips, some tricks to use when you're painting that might make it easier. So a couple of things that I like to do is keep some paper towels, or if you've been with us at the museum for a class like this, I like to use a sock on my hand, but paper towels work. That way, when you're painting and you have a bunch of paint in your brush and you want to clean it off, you don't have to get all that paint in your paint water. You can wipe as much of it off on your paper towels as possible until it's kind of not making marks anymore. That way you got most of the paint out, and then rinse it off in your water. That way you don't have to clean your water or switch out your water for clean water as often. Makes it go a little farther that way. You do end up going through a lot more paper towels though. If you're using a sock and you're using washable tempera paint like I am, then you can just throw your sock in the washing machine. Oh. And like I said, the other tip is if you have tape on your hand and you're afraid that it's going to pull and hurt when you take it off, just stick your hand in some water and swoosh it around, and the water will help the tape come right off. It makes it a little bit easier that way. Miss Laura at the Marion Public Library says, do not use the sock on your foot. That's a good point. Thank you, Miss Laura. If you have been painting on your sock, don't put it on your foot afterwards. Not till you wash it. Now, I'm going to keep painting here for a little bit, but does anybody have anything they want to show us right now? Or are you still working? What you got going on out there?
I decided to paint a landscape.
Ooh, would you like to tell us what a landscape is?
A picture of an area of land.
An area of land. Yeah, that's a really good description. A landscape is usually land. Doesn't have to be though. If you want your landscape to be mostly sky, it can be. Sometimes people use the term, oh, I accidentally muted you guys. Sorry about that. You can unmute. You can also paint a picture of maybe the sea. Instead of land, you can paint water. And they have a special name for that called a seascape. But it's technically a landscape too.
I just want brown paint.
Does anybody else want to show us what you're doing right now? Ben, is that you showing us? Let me spotlight you so we can all see. Ooh. Oh my goodness, look at all your colors. Oh my goodness, that is awesome. It reminds me very much of a Renoir. That is awesome. So keep working. I can't wait to see what that looks like when it's done. Miss Marta at the Hiawatha Library, I almost said at the HPL, because I'm used to abbreviating it. Are you painting with us? Oh, yay!
Using colored pencils because I don't have paint, but it's difficult just holding your hand. And
it really is.
Yeah, and then actually I feel like it almost kind of hurts, but I'm getting older too. So I don't know. Everything's starting to hurt.
I know, right? After a while, though, I bet it does start to hurt.
Yeah.
I love yours so far, though.
I'm trying to use a lot of colors like Renoir.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you guys. I'm so glad that you're doing that because I didn't even talk about this, but I would love to see how many colors you can add to your paintings. Let's see if I can do a gallery view. There we go. Hopefully y'all can see that, but you can change your view too so that you can see things better on your side. Let's see. I am making a huge mess, just so you guys know.
Just a second.
What?
I'd like
He wants to know if he can paint now.
Oh, are you not already painting?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought so. I saw paint on your paper. Okay, good. Yes, definitely keep painting. I can't wait to see it when it's finished, Ben. It's going to look amazing. Now, before I have to say goodbye to everybody, I want to give everybody a little heads up. Next month, our artist of the month is going to be Van Gogh. Has anybody heard of Vincent van Gogh? Yeah? You've probably seen his artwork before. I can't wait because he's one of my favorites. Talk about lots and lots of colors in his paintings. Oh my golly, he uses so many colors. It's so cool. And next month's class, I'm going to show you an optical illusion. I know. Do you? Oh, good. Okay, so this one is going to be super fun, I think. I can't wait to show you, but it makes one of his paintings look like it's moving. And I've never been able to find anywhere else where you can see something like that before. I think it's super cool. Let's see. Oh, Miss Lara is saying her favorite painting. She says Van Gogh's. She loves his sunflowers, and he's kind of known for that. But he's also sort of known for his starry skies. And you guys, I have to say, I try to pick a book each month that tells you a little bit about the artist. Well, the one that I have for next month, Van Gogh, there are so many books about Vincent van Gogh, you guys. I don't know how to pick. If you have a favorite, email me or something, because I would love to hear. There's so many good ones.
I got this little black.
Mhm.
Miss Laura, you actually told me about one book that is now one of my favorites about Van Gogh. It has, shoot, I can't remember the title or the author, which I'm sure is really helpful. But it talks about all his colors.
Yeah, Vincent paints his house.
Vincent paints his house. That's it. It's
Yeah.
so much fun. It gives you
Remember
lots
that
and
one?
lots of different words for different colors. And it's so cool because some of those words I had never heard before I read that book. I love when I learn new stuff.
Can I show them your picture after you're done? Okay.
You got to wait for the grand reveal, right, Ben?
Oh,
Oh, you want to show?
Oh, you want to show?
Let me get it wet.
Oh, look at yours. That looks amazing. And you're doing really, really well adding all of those different colors. And you still have the tape on your hand. Wow. I am so impressed right now because I had to put my brush in my other hand.
So Miss Erin, I've got his book up.
I like those trees.
Like water to
Oh,
Mhm.
sorry, there was a lot of people talking, but I'm going to add Miss Laura so you can see. There's the book she was telling you about, or that I was telling you about, and she knew the name of. Vincent Paints His House. Oh, it's so fun.
It's
Thank you,
one of
Miss
my
Laura.
favorites.
I love it. I love it. Anything where I get to use cool new words that I didn't know before. So fun. Oh, red is nice, said Vincent. But there's
Rose
lots
and
of different
crimson
kinds
and
of red.
Scarlet and vermilion. You know
Oh,
that red is my favorite color.
which red is your favorite color? Because now we know there's lots of different names for reds.
I know. Probably scarlet. I like that deep
Ooh.
purplish red.
That's a nice one. I think, I don't know. I don't know if it's because I like the color or because I like the word, but I really like vermilion.
Yes, it's a good word.
It's such a fun word to say. And trust me, when you tell people that you really like your favorite color is vermilion, they look at you like all impressed because you know big words.
Yeah.
That's always fun. Bye, Miss Laura. Thank you.
Oh yeah, my pleasure.
I'm definitely gonna maybe add that to our reading list for next month because I love that book.
Peachy.
But like I said, if y'all have a different favorite Van Gogh book, send them to me. I would be happy for the recommendations.
You're gonna
I
get
am
two at a time.
mixing. It's a good thing that we are doing Van Gogh, or excuse me, we are doing Renoir style painting today, which is impressionistic because it doesn't have to be perfect. It can just be blobs and smushes because that is all I am able to do with this technique. Ooh, okay, so y'all, my portrait's hair is all over the place.
Can I see it?
Oh, sure. I don't know why I'm not thinking about this. Okay. Hold on. There we go. Oh, and I should take Miss Laura's spotlight off so that way you can see me. So her hair is all over the place so far.
But that looks really, really nice.
Thank you. Like I said, I cheated though. I was using my right hand for mixing my paints because it was too hard with my left hand. And I was also kind of cheating and used my right hand to paint some of it. The eyes are so small that I had to use my right hand instead of my left. But fortunately, I'm not going to get in trouble with anybody because this is just for fun.
Wait, no, sit down.
Yeah.
All right, we have just a couple more minutes. Does anybody else want to share what yours looks like right now? I know you're not done,
Show yours?
but that's okay.
Madeline still says she doesn't want to show.
Oh, but so far, that is so cool.
But it's looking really good.
It really does. That green is such a pretty green.
Marlena's having summertime fever, I think.
Oh, I don't blame you. It is cold right now. Oh, that tape was kind of hard to get off my hand. Thank you. Those both look really cool. Let's see. Does Miss Marta want to show us?
It wasn't hard for us to take off the tape.
Marta, that looks so cool. Ah, so many colors.
Many colors. Yeah, exactly.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Let's see here. Ben, do you want to
What
show
do you want?
yours
What do you
before we're
want?
done?
Stay here. Stay there. Sit. I will go get it.
Oh my gosh. This looks more incredible every time I see it. I can't wait till it's finished and we get to see the whole thing.
The girl dinosaur.
I turned it into a dinosaur.
You did a portrait of a dinosaur. That's so great. I love that. Thank you for sharing. And Miss Laura, I won't go back to you, but if you decide that you want to show us any artwork that you've been working on, you just email it to me and I will put it on our Facebook page. Anybody have anything else you want to share real quickly before we end things for today?
I do.
Oh, all right. What is it, Miss Malena?
I'm just adding one little touch.
One little touch. Oh,
Madeline.
Madeline. Oh, it looks amazing. For real, I love the colors that you picked. That's super cool.
You gonna add any more?
You can definitely keep working if you want to.
I do.
You want a new piece? Or you're gonna elaborate on that one?
Oh, Miss Laura says I don't know which skin color paint you were talking about, but sorry, I didn't see that until now. But Miss Laura says Madeline's painting gives her the impression of birthday candles.
You thought those look like birthday candles, and I thought
A little
that's
bit.
good too. Yeah, we do like birthday candles. Yes,
Are supposed to be trees.
they're supposed to be
Oh, yeah.
trees,
We totally get that.
but since it's impression, maybe everybody gets a little different
But
idea of what
see,
they want.
on bottom, they're brown.
Mm-hmm. And on the top?
Yellow, but not on the bottom, are not.
And the sky is blue. I can see that.
Can you get it?
There we go. Oh, she got one more thing.
Oh no, my son is ruined.
No, it's not ruined.
You know, with paint, all you have to do is wait till it's dry and then paint over it. That's the best thing about paint. If you mess up, just cover it up. The hard part is waiting till it's dry before you do.
Just wait. Well, put this down so it doesn't blob on the other parts. There you go. So you're gonna share.
One of my other tricks to share with you guys, if you're trying to get your paint to dry really fast, use a blow dryer. Oh, Okay, so I don't know what color that is, if you mixed it to yourself or if it's something that
This?
you already have. No, the blue kind of part in the middle,
I mixed it.
that is such a pretty color. That's like my favorite color actually, and it doesn't even have a name. I never know what to call it.
I'd call it aquamarine.
Ooh, that's a fun one to say too. It's kind of a tealy, bluey, greeny thing. This is the trick I always have too, because it doesn't have a name. I love that color though.
Mine has a name. Teal green. Mine has a name.
What do you call yours?
Yes.
Mom?
Let's call it dark teal.
Yeah,
Dark
we have
teal.
fun naming.
No.
We have fun naming our pieces here. So yeah.
Mine
All right.
is pink, green.
Pink, green, brown, yellow is what Madeline would name hers.
Blue, gray. She likes to name hers whatever the colors on it are.
Yeah.
Well, if you
Mine is
watched
pink,
our one from last
green.
month where we talked about Jackson Pollock, he named a lot of his after the colors he put in his paintings too. So you're not alone. That's a good idea. Thank you for sharing those, ladies. And thank you everybody else for joining us today. I hope I get to see you at the museum sometime soon.
Plenty of
If you have plans to be around the Cedar Rapids area over spring break, come by and visit us at the Museum of Art, because the Cedar Rapids Museum of Art is doing family fun days over spring break. So in just a couple weeks, we will have scavenger hunts for you. If you come by, you can do a free scavenger hunt through the galleries and try to find all of the hidden things on the scavenger hunt in the artworks that are in the galleries. And once you do that, you get to take home a kit full of art projects and some art materials to make the projects. And one of the things that will be in the kits is one of these. So you will get your own CRMA brush pencil or pencil brush. I don't know what to call these, but there will be one included for free in your Family Fun Days kit if you come by during spring break. So aside from Mondays when we're always closed, come by anytime that week, even the weekends, and you can get your free kit to take home and make your own art projects. Oh, Miss Mulan, are you ready to show yours? It's so great.
Beach day.
Beach Day. That's a great title for that. And look, I think Ben is showing us his. Yay! Oh, Ben, that
Ooh,
looks
pretty.
amazing. Oh, so many colors. Love it so much. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next
Pink,
time.
green, black, gray,
Thank you.
yellow, brown, and blue.
Bye.